Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Laws of Business Breakthroughs, hosted by Bamal Shah, the CEO of Viraj Parth Achievers. How are you this evening, Bamal?
Great. How are you doing, Blanca?
I
Glad
am.
to see you're feeling better.
Thank you. I'm always doing amazing when I know that I'm going to be learning these pearls and diamonds of wisdom that change my life on a weekly basis, I should say. So, for those of you who don't know, big shout out to Bamal. My business has exponentially grown because of his coaching. And I'm really grateful to you for that, Bamal. Thank you for the one on one expertise.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Always my pleasure.
So, what are you going to be teaching us tonight?
So, today I'm going to talk about one of the most important topics that everybody has in their heads, but they're just trying to figure it out. It's get my foot in the door. How do you get your foot in the door with your ideal customers, and not just anybody, but with your ideal customers? So today I'm going to talk about several ways you can, and one of the most effective ways to get your foot in the door. I have created a link where people can go in and download or take the next steps. It's called bit.ly, the Message Foundation. And in that, it is the foundation tool for anyone to build a strong foundation of getting their foot in the door with their ideal customers. So I'll start with a story. This was where we needed to, break into architects and interior designers, where they were building 5 million, 10 million mansion homes. So how do you get in front of those, to have a conversation and talk about possible collaboration where they can continually refer customers? So what we did is we created a storyboard with what the main problem in the industry was, explaining how the customer explains it to how he finally gets it, where he's totally frustrated and angry, and how these folks, when they come in, they solve the problem. And it was a very artistic, required art, imagination, visualization, message, creativity. We see that, and when then we call them, they're ready to talk because they never seen something like this. You probably heard someone saying that I send them their favorite pair of shoes, and I only send them one pair. And when they get that one shoe, then they ask, where's the other shoe? And they say, I have it, and I will bring it when I see you. So that's how they get their foot in the door. So again, it's you have to break the ice, and you have to break the norm. You can't just follow, hey, everybody else is doing, so I should be doing it this way. Another example where we built small cruise ships out of dollar bills into a package, and then put a USB in the middle and show how they can monetize every cruise ship, and this was sent to a cruise line, and then they got into front of them, and because they were trying to land more than $500,000 contracts. So there are many stories that I can share. I just wanted to share a couple, and share that the right message is not about hype, but about authenticity. You don't have to hype it up. You don't have to use verbs or adverbs, amazing, excellent, all that. You just have to be true to yourself, and share what do you do uniquely that benefits the customer. What makes you totally unique and totally different? What problem are you solving? And understand the real problem. So for example, let's say I'll take let's say you have turf in your lawn, and many business owners probably send a postcard, got turf, we get a free coat, right? That's probably the standard approach that everyone else is taking. But the real problem is, the homeowner, or who is preferably, a woman, uh, feels irritated or annoyed or disappointed when she looks at her lawn every day, or when she looks at her yard every day. So disappointed at how your lawn looks every single day. Come home to a beautiful lawn every single day. Start here. So that's the real problem. So present the real problem that your ideal customer faces, and then present the solution. Does that make sense?
No, it definitely does. I mean, I think that also what a big thing you've taught me is to teach the process. That what you're selling is the process. There's a lot of people that do the same thing, but they don't all do them the same way. So, how painless can you make it for the customer? How much time can you save them? How much aggravation can you minimize? If one vendor is more expensive than another, but they're not going to have to spend time with that vendor, they may go with that vendor.
Right. So the way you sell quality over price is your process. And I built the perfect tool called the Process Innovator. They can get at bit.ly, the Process Innovator. And if you go to that link or scan the QR code, you can get that. But the process is the key. Many people say, we're better in quality or we're better in price. We provide great service. We pick up the phone when we call. That's not the real way for differentiation, because I asked someone, what makes you unique, different? Oh, customers can call me on my cell phone. So what happens when you get bigger? Oh, I'll hire someone to pick up the phone. What happens when you get even bigger? Oh, we'll go them to an automated service. So you're going back to the same situation where you're trying to sell them on the point. So the reality is, the process is the one thing that can sell everything. So don't
Yeah.
try to sell your product or service, sell the process, because it's the way you can differentiate yourself from everybody else. And that's the dream come true way to position yourself is, we have a unique process to get you where you want to go, and nobody else does that. So
Yeah.
that's the tool.
I love it. I mean, the amount of things I've learned from you is just mind boggling. So, with this Process Innovator tool, how does that work? Can you give us a little bit of a sneak peek?
Sure, the sneak peek is everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's nothing new, right? But the reality is that in each step of the process, you can try to see how you can make it different, how you can make it more effective, or even, eliminate it. Do you even need to do this step? Why are you doing this step? Why is this part of your process? Can you ditch it? And can it be a shorter process? The shorter, the more efficient, the better. It takes long to build a process, but once you build it the most effective way, life gets easy. Life gets smooth with the wind to your back. You sail down with the wind to your back. But otherwise, it's an uphill battle. So if you take the easy way, let's just start doing it. Let's just call people, and we have all these people to call. Let's just pick up the phone and start calling. What happens when people cold call these days. We live in the age of information. Nobody wants to talk to you unless they have screened you, know more about you. And I can tell you a real story. I had a customer who said, I've been receiving your emails for 4 years, and I've been reading every single one of them, and today I decided to become your customer. So I never knew that, but he had been in the database. I had no contact information of him, but he was consistently reading all the points, and now he was ready to move forward. I didn't even have to say anything. So that's engagement. That's powerful engagement, where you build with your customers, where they say, you continually engage them into wanting to learn more. So this way, your prospects are pre-qualified, pre-motivated, pre-interested, and predisposed. That's what you want to do with your marketing. And I can tell everybody is in the marketing business. Everyone, if there is one business that they're in, it's in the marketing business. They have to market themselves. If they don't, else will, and they will kill them, or they'll put them out of business. So, just if anybody says, I don't need to market, or I didn't need to advertise, customers just call me, or I get referrals, there will be until a certain point, but you will come to a dead end when that will stop. And if it's just one person, it's just you, and sometimes you get in a comfort zone, somebody else finds a way to automate it, and they can't do it. So you're out of business. So it's best to just learn how to market. Marketing, sales, and innovation are the only 3 functions of business that produce a result. Everything else is a cost.
That's That's ooh, that's deep. I like that.
Correct.
So what is your advice to people in the marketing strategy if you truly believe that?
So marketing, the very first thing is who, not what. And you can find out your dream come true who on the 5 star prospects link, bit.ly 5 star prospects. But yeah, the idea is that focus on the who and build your entire business around that who is your ideal customer, who do you want to serve, who do you want to work with, and make sure your business resonates with everything that they want. And if you can build your business model around what they want, you will be very successful. Like when I built the whole business, for CEOs, 10 to 50 employees, around $1 million in gross profits, I started looking at grant writing. I started looking at recruiting. I started looking at operations. I started looking at project management. These are their real needs that they want to solve. So, the more you understand your customer, the better. And don't try to chase anybody and everybody. That's the worst thing you can do in your business. Focus on a few, focus on the minimum viable audience. Like, what is the minimum number of customers I need to make the money that I want to make? That's the key.
That's smart. Focus on the minimum, not on the maximum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why you should probably raise your prices, because if you have too many customers, it's not a healthy way to be. So you need the right comfortable number of customers that your schedule can truly accommodate.
Well, let me tell you the magic on how best to raise your prices. Do not raise your prices, raise your value. So, for example, if you are offering $1,000 product and you want to make $2,000 from it, make sure that you offer a ten to $20,000 value to your customer and sell that $20,000 value to your customer, and then only ask 10%. Hey, listen, I'm delivering a value worth of $20,000 to your firm. All I'm asking is 1/10 of that, from you.
Yeah.
Would that make sense? I can tell you a story when a person, who used to find free Wi-Fi, like there's usually, with the new technology, you can find gaps where Wi-Fi and, X number of losses in your company. And once I save you, and it's no cost to you, are we still on? I think I got a message that streaming is.
We're on. We're good to go.
And then that person, said, hey, listen, I'll save you bottom line X number of dollars at no cost to you. Once you save that, we can look at all the different elements that are waiting, and then I'll just take a percentage of the savings. And his business value was just a percentage of the savings. And it's much easier to sell that than to ask for a flat hourly fee and justify, your salary, what you're asking for.
That's a good point too. It's more difficult though, because then you are sort of making it in a way a subliminal guarantee of the business that they're going to receive. But if you're confident in your process, then it may not be that difficult, right?
No, so yeah, so life is hard when you do the easy work and you take the easy path. Like if you take the easy path to run your business, which is let's just open our doors, let's just start calling people, and let's just start selling, the easy path. But if you take the hard part where you build a system, this is my ideal customer. I'm going to build a service. I'm going to build this. It's going to take me time, but once I build it, I'm going to present this and, ask for a good amount of money. It may take you 3-4 months to build it, and it will be different, but it gives you much better long-term success and continuity of your business. I mean, most businesses fail in 3 years. Why do they fail? Because they take the easy path. They take the easy path to start a business and they fail. If you take the harder path to start the business, you will succeed and you will go beyond the failure rate. I mean, 80% of the businesses fail in the first 3 years. Hardly any last beyond 10 years.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Well, this has been really important. I want to remind everyone to go to the bit.ly, the Process Innovator, to also go to bit.ly, the Message Foundation, And visit Raj Parth Achievers, visit Bamal's website. He has a number of tools to help you take your business to the next level. He's taken mine to the next level, guys. I'm growing by the leaps and bounds every week, following Bamal's wisdom. And next week, keep asking questions.
Right. And if they take a picture of the QR code, they get a free book.
Absolutely. Take a picture of the QR code. You get a free book, and there's going to be new prizes coming out in the future. I want to thank everyone for watching The Laws of Business Breakthroughs. We'll be back next Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Bamal.
Thank you.